up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Let's talk about it. It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. This is Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 7. All right, the first thing y'all need to do is get into this sweatshirt, okay? So get into it. It says Brandy and Monica. And on the back it says Monica and Brandy. I purchased this after the verses or right before the verses, so I don't know if you can still get it, if it's still available. But if you go to Brandy or Monica's Instagram, I went to their Instagram, they posted a link, I went to the link, I bought the shirt. It was like $50, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it's kind of thin for a $50 shirt. I thought it would be a little bit thicker, you know, like a thick sweatshirt. But it is comfortable, and I would spend the $50 again because I love Brandy and I love Monica. And so, you know, I wanted to purchase this. I feel like it was a moment, you know, that we all needed to remember. So I definitely am enjoying my purchase so far. But y'all ain't come here for that. Y'all came here to talk about Lovecraft Country. So let's get into it. This episode was amazing, guys. We got all Hippolyta all the time. We saw her come into a lot of self-actualization over the episode. The episode is called I Am. Yes, it's called I Am, which was amazing. And then we got into like different dimensions, different time periods, like the crossing over of such. Like, it was amazing. It kind of made my heart sad for the people of that time, who some of those people probably had big dreams and big things that they wanted for their life, and some things that people or society or racism, or it's like 50 different things that could make them feel like, you know, they couldn't make it or couldn't do it. So my heart cried for those people, and I feel like Hippolyta's character represents one of those women. Extremely intelligent, like she low-key was giving the Hidden Figures tea, okay? Like she could have been up there with Taraji and them, down to the NASA. Very intelligent woman, and she has been shrunken, you know, throughout her life. She's even done it to herself, you know, when she had a family, and George, and that conversation they get into later in the episode. So really good episode, full of Easter eggs. I got a whole page full of extra notes from my regular notes, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. So we start off with Hippolyta. It's a lot of papers around, shuffling going on, and she's doing some calculations. She's working on the Ori that she did steal, okay, from Letty's house. I just want to mention that she did go and steal shit out of people's house. We talked about that in the comments, but I never said it on the video. She did steal out the people's house, okay? So she's working on the Ori. She's trying to get it to work, and she kind of lays down. She's getting frustrated again, and we see a flashback to 3 days ago. Now, 3 days ago, she pulls up. You know, remember she turned around on the last episode, and she went towards Artem. Now, we know that Artem is destroyed. It's nothing but a heap of ashes. And so when she gets there, she sees it's a heap of rubble, and she walks through the rubble, and she finds like a board or something, and a board has a symbol on it, the same symbol that is on that Ori. Okay, now that's Hiram's, or is that that's Hiram's, right, to his time machine. So this must have to do something with either the order or maybe his family crest or something to that nature, right? So it's the same symbol that was on the Ori. She's remembering this from 3 days ago. Now we also see D. I feel like D represented me and you in this episode, okay? Because D was looking like,
what the hell you doing? She was looking like us. Like, what is you doing? Yeah, what this got to do with Daddy? Can we come on? I'm hungry.
D is telling her to come back, and like I'm kind of feeling this, you know, like everything is not like it used to be. D is going through like a child angst type situation. I mean, her father just died. Her whole world is turned upside down. Now her mama acting like she don't even want to be there. Like she acting crazy. She don't know what's going on. So I'm kind of starting to get that feeling from D. What are y'all thinking about that? So she walks through the crumbles. She flashes back. Like I said, she sees the symbol. That's when we see D calling her back to the car saying, what are we doing here? What does this have to do with Dad? And she finds a paper. It's like from the Dracula comic. I don't know if it was the comic that D drew or it was the book that he loved or whatever, but it was something that she remembered George for, and so she kind of knows that he had been there. And then we see her back with the Ori, and as she's laying on the bed, she's looking into the mirror, and everything is like sideways or upside down, and she starts to figure out, they rotate on their axis, and she figures it out. She starts to move. The planets start to move. They start to move around in a circle, and everything starts, you know, ignite and pop and come on. There's something, that thing at the top with the symbol on it, it opens up, and there's a key inside of it. And on that key, or on that little thing, it has an inscription, and it says, every beginning is in time and every limit of extension in space. I have no idea what that means. If y'all could help illuminate that, please do. I know it has something to do with travel, because time and space has to do with where you are, right, in the time and space. So yeah, so I'm figuring it's the time traveling time. We then flashed to 2 dead bodies. I was like, well, damn, y'all just took us from one to the other. So we see dead ass William and dead ass the other lady, okay, in the basement, and they like got the blood pumping, and you know, they dead bodies basically. And so Christina is talking to Ruby about everything that's going on, and she's saying basically that they're already dead. They're dead. They were already dead, but she's taking their blood and make a potion from it. So they must get them while they still hot, because your blood start changing after a little while, start coagulating right after a little while. Am I wrong? Ruby is freaked out. She's basically like, you've been lying to me this whole time. Everything that I've done with William has been a lie or whatever. What you do know of William is true. Captain Lancaster did try to kill him, but he did succeed. And so she says before he died, she had got with him, okay, and she tried to get him to teach her everything that was going on, how to be a wizard and whatnot, because her father wouldn't let her into the ancient, you know, whatever. She begged him to do it, the sons of Adam, and she begged him to do it, and he wouldn't do it because she was a female. And so she went to William, she tried to seduce him, but as she got into it, she started to realize that what she wanted was really small. There were so many things that she wanted. So she wants revenge for William, but she also wants so many more things. Please just listen to her. Oh, Christina is a liar and a deceiver. Christina ain't right. I don't know what it is. It's not right, and it ain't okay. It's wrong. Something is wrong. Christina is lying. She's doing a lot of manipulating, and I don't know if I like it. So much more than people could even imagine. And Ruby was like, yeah, like you can do things you wouldn't even imagine, like me. That's what you can do as a man, and lie over and over again. That's what you can do.
I will never lie to you. The words may have come out of William's mouth, but I meant everything I said.
And I said, baby, it's a tea. It's piping hot, bitch. Shout out to Lovely Tea.
Bitch, I was like, so you like Ruby for real? And Ruby, how do you feel about this? Ruby don't seem like she totally against it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I know she kind of freaked out, but you know she ain't freaked out enough to run out the white folks' house. That's all I'm saying. Ruby seemed like she might be with it low-key. What y'all think? Rutina, shout out to you, Rutina. Ruby says she needs to know everything right now. She needs no more lies. Tell her the damn truth now. Christina is like, okay, I'll tell you the whole truth. The truth involves these secrets, some secret papers, lost papers, and it involves your family. So I'm starting to think that Letty and Tick, well, they gave us a little indication that there might be family in a quick minute, about 9 months, okay? It's interesting how she said it involves her family. And, you know, Atticus is the one with the blood, and Ruby and Atticus aren't related as far as we know, okay? They aren't related or anything. So we'll see what's going on with that a little bit later. And we see little Harriet running down the hallway. Somebody is having the same dream where they're chasing her down this burning hallway, but this time the dream is Letty. And when she looks down, Letty is pregnant, okay? And Harriet still has that book under her arms, which we now know is the book of names. We figured this out during the episode. And Letty wakes up, she's startled, she's, you know, a little upset. She rolls over and she sees that Tick is not in the bed with her. So she goes downstairs, and once again, she didn't have no shoes on, which distressed my spirit. But she was downstairs, and you know, Tick and her give a little hug. Looked like he'd been working on the calculations all night long. Kind of pauses for a minute, collect himself, and then he goes into telling her what he has found and what he has found in these papers. He says he's translated about half of the pages, and they had a symbol on it, and that same symbol that was on the mechanical element, I guess during a ceremony or something that was going on, but it's the same symbol that we saw on the back of the hood, which we've seen several times throughout the series. So he's talking about that symbol. He's talking about how everybody has failed trying to interpret this language and say this language. Like, all these people have tried for like their whole lives and nobody's ever succeeded in doing it. Well, Letty is like, well, maybe your ancestor, maybe Hannah, had something to do with it. I mean, she was able to escape the fire and everybody else died. And he was like, well, how do you know she escaped the fire or whatever? And she ran right out of there or something, she said. And it was something that was in the dream. She was like, oh, I know this might sound silly, but I saw it in a dream, you know. And he was like, are you chasing her down the hallway? And she was like, yeah, she has the book under her arm. She's running out the door. And she almost tells that she was pregnant, but she didn't tell him that she was pregnant. So he's like, a book. What kind of book? What do you mean? She was like, it was a book. And he says, wait, do you think that might be the book of names? I told y'all that was the book of names. If it ain't the book of names, it's something that's going to help us get to the damn book of names, okay? It's very important because they showed it one time. They edited it out. I don't know if that was an accident by production or not, because I did see her run down one time and she didn't have it. Or she was running and she didn't have it. When she turned around, she had it. So, I feel like maybe that was an editing mistake. But she's definitely had it several times. And they keep showing us this thing, and Atticus tells her she's probably trying to tell us something. I feel like she's trying to tell us something. Can you hear what she's saying? Well, in my dream, she not saying nothing. So, they kind of going back and forth about this dream. He's saying if Hannah took their book, there could possibly magic on his side of the family that they can possibly use. And so he says if the book is still out there, that possibly could help them, fend off whatever is going on. So, Christina's looking for the pages, but he's going to be looking for the entire book. He doesn't know anything about that side of the family, though. So now he has to do some investigating about his mom's side of the family. He says she's the only one who survived the riots in Tulsa as well. And something tells me that we're going to go back to Tulsa and we're going to see that she survived their riot through some kind of supernatural, foo-la-la or whatever. We see Montrose waking up. He's just as happy as a clam. He's getting ready for the morning. He's walking in. He's smelling the breakfast. And Sammy is there making breakfast. So apparently this is Sammy's first time spending the night. And Montrose is like, oh, you wanted to make some big production about breakfast. This is the first time I'm letting you spend the night. And I already know stuff was going to go left as soon as he got up and with an attitude. And so Sammy mentions that he saw this woman at the bus stop or something when he was going to the store to get something other than alcohol, because that's all Montrose has. And so Montrose kind of gets a little, tiffy about it because that's his neighbor. And apparently he ain't stepping to his light like we thought he did. You know what I'm saying? He's a little worried about the neighbor seeing him and thinking that they go together. And he was like, well, I saw her at the bus stop. I mean, she didn't see me coming out of here. And so then they sit down and eat. And as soon as they sit down to eat, Montrose has an attitude. He's like, I don't eat pork. I don't eat pork. I don't know why you made this bacon. I don't eat that. So he throws that to the side. And then he starts, grumbling about the grits. The grits are too runny. He like his grits like this and that. And Sammy was like, why do you always act like this? Like, why do you do this? Every time we get a little bit close, you start acting crazy like this. And so he kept going on. And he was like, I'm not about to play crazy with you. Okay. I said, Sam, I know that's right. Okay, collect your things and go, baby. I'm not about to do this with you, baby. But he walking out the door, and Montrose starts to try to get him to stay. Now, you can tell this is what he do. He pushes and he pulls. So he telling him, no, don't leave. And as Sammy is walking out the door, he's grabbing his arm. Montrose is grabbing his arm saying, don't leave. And Tick and Letty are walking up at the same time. So Tick sees him saying, don't go, with his arm. And now he realizes that what Tree was telling him is true, that his father and Sammy do have a relationship going on. And this was kind of hard to watch. This was some really good acting by Jonathan Majors. He starts to breathe hard. He starts to kind of have like a panic attack. He starts to get upset. And y'all, then he said, so you a F word. I said, ooh, child, it kind of shocked me. It shook me to hear that word because, we don't say that kind of thing anymore in jest or whatever. It's not considered politically correct, right? But this is the 1950s, and I know we had a big talk about this in the comments last week, and if we're going to accept people saying, the N-word, and we're going to accept, a little anti-Semitism, then, a little homophobia, just throw right on up in there. Just throw it right in the 1950s stereotypes, and we're going to continue to try to move away from what we're getting shown about what people acted like during that time. You understand what I'm saying? He dropped the F word, and I said, woo, child. That hurt, woo. You know what I'm saying? And Montrose it seems to be really hurt by this point or whatever. I don't think that Tick would have cared if his daddy wasn't beating his ass his whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he wasn't married to his mama and beating him down his whole life, then I don't think that Tick would actually care that much. He doesn't strike me as somebody who would care or not. But the fact that his father beat him down because he didn't want him to be soft, and he turns out to be, I'm not saying that gay men are soft, but y'all know what I'm saying. For that time, you turn out to be a gay man after you've been beating me up my whole entire life or whatever. It's probably because you feel conflicted about who you are that you're beating me down, and I ain't even do nothing. But you got something internally in you, so you beat me down. And then he says, well, did mama know? And he says, yes. And so this really seemed to hurt Tick. I mean, this really took him out. He sucked it up and he walked away. He was very upset. Letty kind of stood there, and Montrose is like, why did y'all come here? You know? But I feel like, you know, Montrose, I low-key feel like I'm just glad everything just came out. It's kind of messed up, you know, everything came out, but it's out now, and we can all deal with it as a family, okay? Versus if you was trying to keep secrets. I was gonna give him tips about how to keep it a secret, but I'm like, shit, you know what? It was time for it to come out, so let it come on out. Come on, all that family secrets, just get on out. Get all this trauma and pain and family PTSD put behind us, okay? So I was low-key happy it all came out, even though Montrose seems to be upset. Because I want him to stop treating Sammy bad too. I want Sammy to leave him. One of the two. Sammy just needs to leave. Never mind. Sammy needs to go. Because Sammy, you deserve better than this, baby. Because you look too good to be running behind this ashy Negro who don't treat you good. All right? Letty follows him downstairs, and he once again reiterates about how he feels about his father beating him up his whole life and then he turned out to be, you know, a gay man or whatever, or bisexual man, whatever the case may be. He says the really messed up part is I thought that he was doing it because he loved me. Like I've convinced myself that he was doing that to me because he loved me. And now we see Dee dropping off Hippolyta at Ruby's. She's about to go out on a guide trip. You remember the last time she was talking to George, she wanted to go on the next guide trip with him. So Ruby is gonna babysit. Dee got a little attitude. You know, they trying to do the checklist that they always do, their little family tradition, but she kind of down about it. And you know where everything that's going on, I'm sure Dee probably got some feelings that ain't nobody talking to her, okay? Like, I'm gonna need for y'all somebody to talk to Dee. And so she got a little attitude, and she don't want to do the thing, and she goes inside and forgets about it. And Hippolyta just thinks it's because of the father, you know, of George being dead, that she probably feeling some kind of way or whatever. That's why she don't want to do it. But really, I'm sure it's some other feelings going on inside. So as she's getting ready to drive away, we see Letty and Tick come up. And baby, when I tell you Ruby gave Letty the death stare, bitch, I was like, ooh, that was chilly, baby. Tick asks Hippolyta if he can borrow Woody because he wants to go to St. Louis. And so Hippolyta is like, no, I'm going on a guide trip. No, you can't borrow Woody today. I got something to do. And he was like, we just sent out a last book, or we just put out a copy like a little while ago. Uncle George wouldn't want you driving by this. She was like,
nigga, did Uncle George leave you in charge of me? Are you my damn daddy? Period. I said I'm going, nigga, bye.
I'm like, okay, nobody gotta get permission from your ass. Tick, if you don't back up, boy, move out the way. Letty and Tick are like, well, I guess we gonna ride the bus. I mean, to St. Louis. And he was like, well, do you want to stay? Because it seemed like you got some family business you need to talk to your sister about it. And so she decides to stay, and he goes to St. Louis by himself. Now, he's going to go visit one of his mother's cousins, I think, or no, one of his mother's church friends from church. Their husbands were served in a church together. Letty goes upstairs to talk to Ruby, and she asks her where she been staying. And Ruby tells her how many days after she moved out she even noticed she was gone, basically. Letty says things have gotten away from her, and she's from everything lately. And Ruby's like, the details don't matter. It's no excuse. She says, our fight was one of our worst fights. Now, this is Letty talking to Ruby. She said, our last fight was one of our worst fights, and it was my fault. I should have told you about the money that Mama left me. And she says, I spent so much time thinking about how Mama was wrong and how the decisions she made were wrong that I never realized I turned out just like her. I'm not a hustler like my mom, but I tried to hustle you, and I was wrong. I'm sorry. Ruby says, well, I never heard Mama apologize a day in her life, so y'all can't be exactly alike. And so that's how sisters make up. I live for that scene, actually, because when me and my sister fight, that's how we make up. We just start talking to each other again one day. That's just how it be. You see Hippolyta just poot-pooting on down the road, and she gets to Kansas. She looks down at her little guidebook or whatever, and we see that she has the coordinates written on it. So she's gonna go to the coordinates that was on that, you know, the orrery that she found. You see a lady on a motorcycle pull up next to her and kind of drive away, which I thought was pretty cool. And I looked her name up because I knew that was the Easter egg. Her name was Bessie Stringfield. Bessie Stringfield was a motorcyclist, and she was the first African-American to travel the country solo on a motorcycle. So that's your Black History nugget today. Hippolyta goes to grab one of her sandwiches that she has prepared for her trip, and she sees that Dee has actually made her a comic. You remember she made a comic for her father every time he went out on a guide trip. And if you remember, the monsters were in that comic, and there were like a couple other comics, or one other comic where she was drawing something that actually happened in the show. So, and we'll get to see a little bit later that it's gonna happen again. We can see on this comic book, we see Hippolyta with like a space woman a space woman costume on. So she sees this and this kind of makes her feel good about everything that happened before she left. So she continues to drive. And now we're in St. Louis. And Atticus, he's gotten off the bus and he's going to see a family friend, Miss Alberta or something like that. And she was friends with Mary or Esther or whatever the lady name is, Ethel, for 30 years. Their husbands was friends. They went to church together, yada, yada, yada. And so, she said after their husbands died, you know, they got together because they was old and they was lonely. So why don't we just move on in together? I kind of felt like they was hinting towards maybe something else with that. But, you know, maybe they was just two old ladies who wanted to live together. I don't know. But she said, he asked about a book of names. And she says, well, wait a minute. I do remember something about a book, a family book, an heirloom or something of that nature. And so he's like, oh my God, do you know if it still exists? And she's like, well, baby, everything burnt up in the fire. They took everything. They burnt it all up. Basically talking about when the riots in Tulsa happened, that they burned everything that was of, you know, worth anything. So she goes to get a photo album to show him some pictures of his Aunt Ethel or his cousin Ethel or his aunt. Cousin. I don't know, child. And now we're in Mayfield. So Hippolyta pulls up at the coordinates that she figured out from the Ori. I got off the Ori, and we see that it's like a globe type building, and it has a glow, and it's like super windy when she gets out the car, and you see the moon shining above, and she starts to walk towards the building. And I low-key thought some monsters was gonna come out the woods somewhere, but you know, no monsters appeared this episode. Now we back with Dee and Letty and her friends. They're playing card. That's Gil Scott Heron that was sitting on the side of her. Thank you to the person who commented that the guy they keep calling Gil. And if you notice, they did talk about Bobo waiting for him to come back from his trip, and we all know that he's not coming back from his trip. If y'all saw the previews, the next episode is going to be about Diane, so I feel like they're going to touch on the Emmett Till and all of that kind of stuff, which I'm not really looking forward to. But the crazy looking doll that's in the preview, I'm really excited about seeing. So we're going to get to see Dee and all her feelings next week. So Letty goes to check on dinner with Ruby, and she goes to taste the dinner, and she doesn't like the garlic, y'all. She don't want to eat it. And Ruby was like, girl, what's wrong with you? She's like,
I think I'm getting some kind of new allergies. I don't know, allergies.
and Ruby was like, bitch, ain't no allergies. Or either that or you pregnant with Lil Junior. Okay, well, Lil Junior ain't got no job. She said he the only man on the south side who ain't got no job, baby. Okay, so what he doing over there? And Letty say, well, you know, he's very helpful around the house, honey. I was like, girl, he laying that pipe, bitch. That's what he doing, laying pipe. That's what he do. He a construction worker. He a plumber. Okay. Definitely giving us a vibe that Letty is possibly pregnant with Tick's baby. This would mean that there's another heir, there's another Braithwaite, you know, bloodline person. So we know that Letty is probably going to be in danger if she's pregnant. I personally believe that she could possibly be in danger. So we'll see what happens with that. Back to Tick, and he's looking at those family pictures, and he sees his aunt and Ethel, or his cousin Ethel, or whoever, and he has she has like a birthmark on her arm, and he has the exact same birthmark, but it's on his back. And so the woman kind of walked back in the room to give him the phone, and he had his shirt off, and she was looking like, what's wrong with you? That lady, that actress, is from New Orleans, Louisiana. My sister knows her. I don't know the lady name, but she posted her, and I was like, oh, okay. My sister used to be an actor, too, in New Orleans when she lived there, and so, you know, I guess she knows that lady, and so that lady is from New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay, yes, represent, baby. The N.O. for sure. So it's Letty on the phone, and Letty tells him that she has found the Ori that Hippolyta stole from the house, and she sees the coordinates on it, and she feels like that's where Hippolyta is going based on how she was acting when she left. Now, when she's talking on the phone, Ruby is ear hustling in the next room, baby. So I am starting to think that Ruby is a mole for the Trump family, and bitch, I'm over it, okay? I'm like, I don't know, Ruby. I'm looking at you sideways, honey, because why is you listening so damn hard? Girl, come up in there and say whatever you need to say, sis. So Letty says, I think that she knows that we lied to her about Uncle George, and you know, she went out there to go find the thing. So you need to go find her. Now, what I needed to understand was, where is Tick in relation to where she was? Is Mayfield close to St. Louis? Because the way he showed up out the blue to help her was just a little bit unbelievable, okay? But okay, did he jump through a time portal? Did she get the machine cracking? Is that how he got this so fast? I'm a little confused on that part.
Like, where were they in relation to each other? Because that nigga was there like lickety split, and he had rode the bus to St. Louis. So how he got over here? I'm confused. Make it make sense, God. I don't know.
Hippolyta goes inside. She sees the machine. It's straight out of like an old movie, like an old Frankenstein type movie, right? So it's like this big old machine, and she start clicking on shit. She's trying to click, you know what I'm trying to say? She's trying to get everything together and working. And so, you know, it light up and things start happening and popping. And as she's doing this, we can hear some cops come in and they saying, Lancaster thanks you for blah, blah, blah. And so they come in and they notice that somebody's there and the machine is working. And they're like,
oh my God, the machine is working.
They see her, they catch her. And so right at the right moment, Tick come in, he jump in, start beating niggas up like Superman. I'm like, child,
what is happening?
When did Tick start jumping through the room beating niggas? Like, don't get me wrong, I know Tick was in the military, so he know how to fight. You know what I'm saying? But the way he jumped down from that thing, bitch, he thought it would have said dun 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 dun. Like, I literally was like, this nigga jumped in this motherfucker like Superman. Bitch, he jumped like, girl, like Meteor Man out this whole like blade.
Bitch, like, what's going on? He was beating everybody's ass, okay?
So he beat everybody to the ground, baby. The officer was about to shoot him, and so Hippolyta shot him. I said, not the popo, bitch. Now that mean you going on death row, okay? But we about to get free. You see how I just put myself in a cage mentally? You feel what I'm trying to say? So she shot him down, pew pew, okay? She shot him like this. Pew, pew, bang, bang. And he's dead to the ground, baby. And so the portal has opened up. Okay, the portal, it's open, baby. And so she's about to jump in the portal, baby. She jumps in. Oh, no, she ain't jump in. She was just standing there looking crazy. And she got sucked in. The policeman, okay, they had threw the police in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they threw the police. I'd be mad as hell. I was the police and wake up like, where the fuck am I at? Okay, like, where am I at? The other police was out there, so she got sucked into the hole by accident. So did Tick, and so did the other police officer, okay? So they all got sucked into this portal into we don't know where. So we don't know where Tick went, but we do know where Hippolyta went. She went on a journey through time and through space, okay? She ends up like getting transported to like a planet. We don't know what planet it is. It kind of looked like Earth, but I don't know what the planet is, okay? We got real space alien out there, okay, after this. So it got real Afrofuturism, like to the 10th degree. It gave me Tron. It gave me, like I said, a lot of Afrofuturism. It gave me Wakanda. Like, it gave me a lot this episode. I was here for it, okay? I was here for all the shit. You hear me? Like, it was a music video from like the early 2000s. Like, it gave me everything. Like, low-key gave me Janet Jackson Scream. I'm here for the shit. Okay, you low-key give me somebody. Okay, come on. Get into this 2005. It gave me 2005 Hype Williams. It did. Gave me 2005 Hype Williams T. Okay, but let's go ahead. I digress. She wakes up on a slab and she's butt naked. Now, one thing I like about Ingenue Ellis is that, and everybody on this show, is that when they naked, they naked. Okay, but one thing I want to say to the costume people was like, y'all couldn't get her nothing that was just a little better fitting in the tummy area, like, especially when she was dancing with Josephine. Why was it so ill-fitting? I know they made it special for her. So why was it so ill-fitting? That distressed my spirit just a little bit. But you know, I'm here for the shit. Whatever, girl. Have your belly out. I ain't even mad at you, girl. Do what you do. So she sat up there. She was butt naked. I wonder how too many times she prayed about being butt naked, or has she been naked before like that on the stage? Because I know she's like a very veteran actress. So, you know, maybe this is nothing for her. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. But she sits up, she on the slab, she like, what the hell is going on? She sees that there's like these glowing things on her wrist. And so you can see her kind of like going through all these calculations. She's trying to like keep herself sane, and she's trying to figure out where the hell she is and what could have happened to her as she traveled through time and space, because this woman is extremely intelligent, right? So she's going through all these different things, and then we see a door open up, and it's like an Afro bomb Barbie bitch with a Beyonce costume on. Like, I was here for it. Her name was like Serafina or something in the comments. Her name is like Beyonce, but like when you say it in French, it's Beyonce. Basically, it's Beyonce. Okay, and like they did an ode to Beyonce. Like, that's an Easter egg, and I'm here for y'all. Like, come on,
Lovecraft Country. Come on!
So, you know, when Afro Beyonce come into the room, she's like, where am I? You know, who are you? What the fuck is going on? What are you? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? And she was like, girl, this is not a jail. And she's like, who do you want to be? Or whatever. Who are you? She closes the door on her. So Hippolyta go back to calculating. She's still trying to get up. She banging on the door. It's blood on her hands. And, you know, she's all upset thinking that she can't get out. She starts to like take things apart and things starts to fly around the room. Like I said, she's just doing a whole lot of calculations.
And so the Afro robot come in again. It's like, girl, who are you, girl? Who are you, girl? Tell me who you are, sis.
Hippolyta's like, girl, what the F you talking about? Like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about, sis. And she was like, who are you? Who do you want to be? And she says, I want to be in Paris dancing with Josephine Baker. Through time and space. And now she in Paris on the stage dancing with Josephine Baker. Looking like back in the day they used to have those kind of shows. They would call them the puppy, it was a name, a little animal like that Josephine Baker would play. She would do what Aunjanue Ellis was doing, which is acting like I don't know what I'm doing, acting like I don't know the dance. And then when they get called back for encore is when she show out. You know, she do the best. She dance better than everybody in the whole show. So it's like a number that she's doing, not on purpose, because she's actually don't know what's going on because she just got there. But that was a little Easter egg too. Now, in the audience, I want to tell you guys, this is vintage tea. Let's get into it. In the audience, we saw a quick flash of none other than Frida Kahlo. Now, Frida Kahlo is a famous Mexican painter. If you don't know who she is, look her up. This is the woman with the long eyebrows. And, you know, we all know that Frida Kahlo was very fluid. Okay, she was on the spectrum. She was very fluid. Even so much so as she wore men's clothes. Okay, a lot. That's what she did. Now, apparently, her and Josephine Baker used to go together. Now, I just found that out today. I didn't see the movie, so, you know, I didn't know. Apparently, this was in the movie. But, you know, her and Josephine fell in love after Frida Kahlo broke up with her husband and went to Paris for a little while, for a short time period. They were there together. Now, when this show is taking place, they're saying that she was not in Paris during this time. So they think that her world, this world that Hippolyta is creating is more of like what she would want to work. She's manifesting the world that she would want to be in. You see what I'm saying? So even though they did be together, or they were together, they were not together during that time in history, if that makes sense, during those years, put it like that. So yeah, that was a little bit of vintage, honey. They was together, they was in love with each other, both of them was bisexual or fluid or whatever the case may be, and they didn't have no problem doing what they was doing, okay? After the show, the other girls tell her she need to go back to where the hell she came from. You're going to be up here just stepping over your feet, girl. Ain't nobody got time for that. And so Josephine comes up to her and kind of reassures her, girl, we all had bad nights, but tomorrow you're going to have to step your game up, okay? But we've all had bad nights. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Kind of letting us know that Josephine is cool. She's a really cool person. Now, she begins to follow Josephine back to her room, and Josephine closed the door on her like, girl, we cool or whatever, but we not that cool, sis, okay? Hippolyta practicing her dance steps as she's spending time with these girls and getting better and better. And then we kind of see her, you know, living the life, honey, out there. You know, they playing Lady Marmalade. They're giving me everything I need, okay, and I love it. Oh, and I want to give y'all this other Easter egg that on the last episode, Gia's favorite movie was called Meet Me in St. Louis. Josephine Baker is from St. Louis. Okay, and guess where Hippolyta, or guess where Tick went in this episode? He went to, everybody say it with me, St. Louis. So I thought that was a cute little Easter egg, or a cute little connection from episode to episode. So we see her living her life, honey, living fabulous, doing what she does, being a free woman, not tied down to anybody, okay? And so one night she's chopping it up at the bar, and Josephine comes up to her tonight and talks about, she can tell that Josephine feels some type of way. And Josephine recognizes in her that, you know, most of the girls don't really notice when I feel this way or whatever. You're the only person who really notices this. And Aunjanue Ellis does a beautiful monologue. I mean, it was like amazing. There was like a million feelings that she says in it, but I'm gonna give you just what I got, okay? You know, it was one time in that little montage that Hippolyta gave a girl a look, and I was like, Hippolyta, you was out here throwing your old side, baby. You was out here living your best life. Girl, you better get out and eat some poom, okay? Girl, Hippolyta, let me find out. You out here eating some poom, girl. You better do it. Josephine tells her, some nights I feel like a star. My star is so bright that I would burn up, basically. Hippolyta says, well, you're a star. And she says, I'm a star, but not like a movie star. You know, not anyone can be like that. I feel like one of the stars in the black of space. Magnificent, ancient, and already extinguished. And this is kind of speaking to Josephine's short life, and a lot of stars like that. You know, Dorothy Dandridge, Josephine Baker, Marilyn Monroe, people like that. She says, you just know where to look. You found the same thing in yourself or whatever. She was like tasting it. Freedom like she's never known before. I see what I was robbed of back then. And all those years I thought I had everything I wanted, only to come to have discovered that all I ever was exactly the kind of Negro woman white folks wanted me to be. I feel like they just found a smart way to lynch me without the noose. It just makes me angry. Sometimes, seriously, I want to harm those people. It's not just them I hate, it's me. I hate them for letting me feel small, and I hate she says, who else do you hate, Hippolyta? And what are you going to do with all that anger? Or what can I do with all that anger? So she looks up at the sky and says, I am Hippolyta. I am Hippolyta. So she's challenging the Greek goddess or the legendary Hippolyta, right? So she calls the name, and then we see her go through time and space. And now she's at another time. Now these ladies were, and I'm going to tell y'all, the Amazons. So this is a female tribe of African women. They were fighters, and back in the day, they were defeated by a French army or whatever, but they had their last stand. Like, they stood up against them until they were finally, defeated. But these women trained their women. They trained their daughters. You could akin it to the Amazonians, right, that we know, right, that we've heard of in history. So the woman who was being portrayed, her name was Nawi. She was the last living, the homie Amazon, and she died in the 1970s. That's who was being portrayed. And so I thought this was very, very interesting, because when you think Amazons, you think Wonder Woman, you know what I'm saying? And her daughter's name is Diana, her name is Hippolyta, just like Wonder Woman and her daughter, but we got a different spin on that, which I thought was really cool. So we see her getting trained. Everybody's training. The woman is giving a lot of speeches, and she fighting her, and we see her fighting her over and over and over again, and eventually she becomes very, very strong and able to battle. After she beat up the teacher, she goes out to fight, and let me tell you something, honey, they squatted up. I knew they was about to some shit up when they had their gold boots on. They was coordinated, ho. They had all their outfits on like they was sorority. It was about to go hippo like tough step. Okay, like it was about to be a serious situation out there. And we see a battle, bitch. Let me tell you, that Anjanou Ellis was acting her ass off, honey. I thought I was watching Clash of the goddamn Titans, bitch. They was up there just chopping, baby, chopping and slashing and just cutting everybody up. I said, girl, you better cut them up. Okay, cut it up, sis. At the end of the battle, baby, let me tell you something. Hippolyta did a switch kickle turn on her ass, okay? She did a swivel turn, 1-2 step, a boom boom cat, honey, and sliced that man's head into 360. I said, bitch, you did that. Okay, girl, you did that. You did that. And kicked his head off his neck. I forgot to say that after she beat up the lady who was training her, finally won the fight, she got to put the, crown on, and that's when they went out to battle, So she battled the people, she knocked the man's head off his head, and right as the big French army is swarming them, this is about to be the big fight where everybody died, she looks up at the sky and was like, I'm out. I'm playing, y'all. She looked after they went. She says they did not believe when we told us. We didn't believe them when they told us that our anger wasn't ladylike. When they said our violence goes too far, we did not believe them. When they say the hatred that we feel for our enemies is not godlike, when they say the hatred that we feel of our enemies is not godlike, they say that to women like us because they know what happens when we are free. When we are free to hate when we must, free to kill when we must, and free to bring destruction when we must. Our freedom is a prayer. No matter how, she says, no matter what they think of us, it won't matter after we grind them into dust. And so, like I said, the storm them, they all storm, everybody begins to storm in, and they start to fight, and we see Hippolyta looks up, and she said, I am Hippolyta, I am George's wife. And we see her get transferred through time and space once again, and now she's back in the bed with George. This is the day or the night or whatever before he left to go on that guide trip, I think. But anyway, she's talking to him. So we see her telling George everything about what she's experienced, about the many many different worlds and things she comes to know now and that she believes in true. If you're on another planet, what am I still here right now? I don't know. She's like, I don't know exactly what all this means, but you know, the Ventures, she's talking about a book that she read that she said that she thinks she can now name the thing that's been eating at her quietly for a lot of years. She said, sometimes she thought she was tired or she was just sad or missing him, but now she knows what it was. She was angry. She was so angry because for so much of her life, she's been shrinking. When she was a kid, she thought she was big enough to name something that was out of this world. She's talking about that comet or that star or whatever she named. But then by the time she had met him, she had gotten really small. She started shrinking herself after that. And so by the time, like I said, she met him, she had already got really small. And, you know, she thought that when she got with him, like she saw something in him, you know, that he's what do they call it? A bibliophile, and she's very, very smart. So she thought that they would, you know, kind of foster that in each other. But he just shrank her too. He allowed her to shrink herself as well. And he says, well, why didn't you tell me you felt this way? And she said she tried to tell him a lot of times, but you had to see that. And he says, well, maybe I did, but you know, or maybe I didn't, but I fell in love with you because you were curious. You know, that intrigued me about you. There was a discoverer inside of you. And as he's saying this, he's even realized that he knows he did allow herself to shrink because he felt like he wanted her to be safe at home and comfortable at home. So that's why he allowed her to shrink herself so that they could have a family, you know, so that they could be safe and they could be okay. And so he realizes that that was wrong, and he tells her, listen, from right now, what I can tell you is that I want you to be everything you want to be. I want you to be as big as you can possibly be. I was like, child, I love it. I love it. I love it. And he says, I see you now. And as she grabs his hand, they go traveling through time and space again, and then they end up on another little cute planet. I thought this part was really cute and poppy and colorful. I really like the set design. And if y'all noticed, the plane or the spaceship they was on, it looked like Woody. Okay, take a look at it again, and it looked just like Woody, because you know what? This was straight out of whose comic? Diana's comic. So we see them, and they get off of the spaceship. It's really cool looking. We see little aliens come up to them, and then we see them kind of like being, you know, what they call them, I don't know if anthropologists is the right word. Is that the right word? The people who go around, look at the plants and the animals and the wildlife and the ecosystem and document things and write stuff down. And they're just writing down different things, just having the time of their nerdy life. As we hear a voiceover, the voiceover is called Black Man in the Cosmos. This guy named Sun Ra. He have an Afrofuturism jazz band, and he did a lot of lectures. And, you know, luckily for us, some of the students there captured his lecture, and that is a famous voiceover. It's called Black Man in the Cosmos. You can go look that up for yourself. So that's going on while they're looking through everything, kind of pondering, you know, where is the black space in future? You know, what is my space in this world that we're typically not included in unless we decide to make our own lane, which Afrofuturism is our own lane, right? So I thought it was a really interesting, and I love how this show uses the voiceovers in these different episodes. So that was a little nugget I want to drop for you guys too. Then we see kind of Hippolyta floating into the negative space of, you know, air or whatever, and then we see Afro Beyonce one more time. So Afro Beyonce comes out and says, you know, now that you know you have named yourself, you can fully integrate into their society. And she's like, you no longer need the device on your wrist. And Hippolyta is like, well, are the chains permanent? Is the change permanent? And the lady says, yes, the change is permanent. And she says, okay, well, will I be able to go back to my home? And they say, yes, we can bring you back to your home planet. And so Hippolyta don't want to go home, but she realizes that she has a child that she loves that needs her, okay, and gonna really need her ass these next couple of episodes. So she needs to get home to her child, and as you know, a mother's love is very, very strong. So we know that Hippolyta is gonna go home. She had her fun, she did her thing, but now it's time for her to go on back to the house. I love how she says, I don't know how I can fit everything I am into that little space anymore. I just love that part when she was like flailing around in the air and being free-spirited and black. I just love it. It was just wonderful to be. Now we see Tick. He ends up in that same building, okay? He is looking like, where the hell am I at? He runs into the place. He sees the machine. He starts clicking on everything, trying to get it to shut down. He also sees a dead police officer, and we can hear that some sirens is coming up. The police is coming, okay? Then he looks down and he sees a book, and that book is called Lovecraft Country, and it was written by George Freeman, not Matt Ruff. I was like, this is a seriously meta moment, y'all. Meta is like when something happens and you're doing it on TV and it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing it on TV and it's a show. So like it's meta moment. The meta moment is that the show is about Lovecraft Country and we see the book on the show and the book has been changed. The author has been changed to George Friedman. So has something altered on these timelines that Hippolyta has been on? I feel like she was in different dimensions and she was doing time traveling as well. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Tick runs away from the scene and we see as he's running, the police officer is dead on the ground, honey. And I don't know how the police officer got back there. I don't know if he was still there. I don't know about this timeline. That's what I'm a little confused on. But anywho, the police officer is dead on the ground and he has D's comic book is right there underneath his arm. So this is evidence that's certainly going to put them on the south side of Chicago on the next episode or the next couple of episodes when they figure out who this person is and why is everything she's drawing everything she's drawing coming true, and she's connected to these other people. So all of this is going to come together some kind of way. I don't know how they're gonna make this work in 3 episodes come together, y'all, but I'm so excited to find out. I know this review was long, but I wanted to make sure I dropped you all these Easter eggs because I had a whole page of them today. Let me see if I got anything else before I leave. Okay, I think I got it all. All right, y'all, I got everything I have for this episode. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. I'm sure I put my tag somewhere in this video, so go ahead and just follow me on Instagram. We're having a little bit of fun over there. I'm getting some followers. It's low numbers, but we working on it. It's a work in progress. Happy to see you all again. Hey, all my new subscribers. Hey, all my new viewers. How y'all doing, baby? What's going on? Drop down in the comments and let me know if you new. All right, so yeah, I got a power video to do and I'm already late. So let me holler at you next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.